Riots, an awareness training film for correctional officers by Carl R. Torsbins, former deputy warden and trainer, New Mexico and Arizona Department of Corrections. By definition, an ACA, a riot is when a significant number of inmates control a significant portion of a facility for a significant amount of period of time. A disturbance is a lesser situation where fewer inmates are involved and there's no control or minimal control of a portion of a facility. And an incident is where only a few inmates are involved and there's no control of any portion of the facility for any period of time. Elements of a riot: shortage of staff, overcrowding, lack of training, corruption, lack of consistent policies, staff brutality, lack of programs, idleness, hands of the devil. Some more elements of a riot: lack of medical care or medical aid, lack of educational opportunities, poor food quality or portions, poor grievance policies, lack of concern, poor communication between inmates and staff and administrative turnover. What happens there is that we have a lot of newbies and we lose experience and the retention becomes a problem. Inmate indicators of a riot pending: persistent rumors something's going down, persistent complaints from inmates about unsolved situations, unusual congregating, a hoarding of food and canteen supplies, continued hostile verbal exchanges between inmates or group of inmates. Things appear to be tense, however, it can be the opposite too. Things can be quiet. An unusual unwillingness to talk, low program participation or turnout, increase in dangerous contrabands found, such as weapons, diminished personal property, and an unusual number of inmates feigning illness to remain in their cells, playing the part to not have to participate in what's probably called a mandatory strike or some type of disturbance, if not a riot. Staff indicators are rumors of a possible problem, tension among staff, increase in sick leave, increase in inmate disciplinary reports. Stress and anxiety are constant influences in the workplace, and they cover some of these staff indicators. Confrontations with inmates, both verbal and physical. Staff members agreeing with inmates' complaints, having some kind of empathy for the inmate. Poor staff morale. And we all know what that sixth sense factor is. That sixth sense factor is when the hair in the back of your head or your neck stands out and you know something's going down. Prevention tips. Staff morale must be maintained and be considered positive. Staff retention to keep the good and experienced officers. Staff professionalism. Monitor inmate program attendance. Ensure compliance of program assistance and be fair. Open communication between the inmates and staff, including supervisors and the chain of command, including the higher echelon. Accurate pass downs or briefings to keep staff informed at all times. Credible inmate grievance system that's fair, consistent in policy. Sanitation and safety within work and living areas that impacts the mood and impacts the safety for the inmates and officers that work there. Food service, reasonable menus, and adequate portions. These are all things that you can keep an eye on. Sound and effective and inmate classification system. Quality training for all staff on emergency plans. Review and update security and riot plans annually. Do some tabletops. Do some emergency response drills. See how fast and how long it takes you to issue safety equipment. Train and familiarize with the ICS FEMA Incident Command System. Be aware that the contingency plans are sometimes needed to preserve and protect the lives of staff and inmates. Staff must have plans that can be used either to protect or control, and physical plant schematics and diagrams for emergency utility control situations. These are all tools readily available. Written and available plans to staff but kept in a secure place. Establish rapid response team that includes the authoritative incident command, establishing an incident command post, and establishing communication and positions of responsibility that allows the communication to flow evenly and effectively. Where and how to secure the inmates. Ingress and egress, which doors and gates may be need to be secured or opened. Job assignments, specific and non-specific. Chain of command and liaisons. Method of communication to be used. Phone, radio, walkie-talkies, whatever is available or whatever is decided on. And never forget to maintain your safety procedures. Staff needs to be familiar with this plan and their responsibilities, including individual and group job expectations. Establish clear chain of command. Total physical layout of the facility has to be accessible. Areas of concern in an immediate area or post assignments. Look for escape routes. Contain rioters and those involved, as well as those not participating initially. Localize the problem by isolating groups if possible, and wait for backup. Cut off access or escape, and make arrangements to evacuate non-participants. Prevent the group of violence from escalating using chemical agents or other equipment used and authorized by the continuing use of force. Prevent hostage taking if possible, and ensure evacuation was successful by taking a head count of all employees as soon as possible. Plan the necessary or necessity of using force, and make sure all equipment is available from the armory or storage areas. Allow time to assemble backup. This is where your training drills come in. Consider staff safety at all times. Move non-participating inmates when it's safe to do so. Ascertain cause of the situation and identify leaders or shot callers so that you can remove them as soon as possible when you have the tools to do so. Coordinate step-down levels to return back to normal operations. Ensure evidence is gathered. Ensure intelligence is documented. Ensure witnesses are interviewed and statements taken. Ensure mood assessments are taken to determine the level of operation to return to. And ensure all safety practices are still in place. Just because it's de-escalating doesn't mean you have to get sloppy and forget about the safety practices that are needed to keep the place going. Dedicated to Catlin Carruthers, Corrections Corporation of America. Rest in peace, brother.